These next questions are often ones that people just don't get, and it's such an easy thing if you get the idea, if you know the idea. It says, now what would you do to this function? What would the equation become if it was reflected about the y-axis? If it's reflected about the y-axis, well, you just have to know that if you want something to jump across the y-axis, like imagine a point. You've got a point sitting somewhere. You've got the y-axis. Say it's on the right. Well, all you do is, say it was here at 2 and 3, all you'd do is make it minus 2 and 3. You just change the sign of the x-axis. To reflect about the y-axis, you just change the sign of the x values. So instead of a positive x, this is the map you have to know for reflecting about the y-axis. Instead of x being negative, it becomes minus x. So then the new function, let's call it L of x or whatever, is minus 2 over x. That's it. That's how you reflect about the y-axis, if you can just remember that. And it's pretty straightforward because you think the y stays the same, but you jump on the other side. Okay, what about reflecting about the x-axis? Well, if you switch the sign of the x to reflect about the y-axis, you must switch the y. To reflect in the y-axis, you just change the sign of the y values. Well, there's the map. Instead of x and y, it becomes x and minus y. So just put a minus y right there. Minus y. And then what does that look like? That also looks like minus 2 over x. Hey, that would reflect it about the x-axis. Now, when you get questions that aren't as simple, you won't get the same answer. But this is the method you use every time. That's all there is to it. So let's take a look at what this looks like here. For the first one, this one here is the deal. The reflection's right here. Well, that should kind of make sense. And if you want to reflect it for both of them, they reflect in the x-axis and y-axis. That's what the reflection looks like. It's this one down here. It reflects at both the y and the x-axis. Now, if this was like 2 over x minus 3 plus 5, you'd do the same thing, but your answers would get a little bit more complicated. But you'd do exactly the same thing.